Hello, everyone, and welcome to Beyond IIT. This is episode 3. Today, I'm going to talk about the problem of not having the right credentials, the credentials from a prestigious institute like an IIT, and how do you go about fixing that problem. Many of us are dealing with this problem because we didn't go to a prestigious college for various reasons, whether we didn't have the money to afford an education outside of India, or we did not have the right guidance to get into the right engineering college or the right medical college. But all of us have our own challenges that we dealt with as we went about shaping our careers. So, today I wanted to share with you 4 tactics to overcome obstacles to growth. And before sharing those tactics, I want to talk about how credentials matter. What can you do to think about credentials differently? And what happens in your lifetime as you go about making a career for yourself? So let's talk about credentials. I think credentials are the new caste system in India. Even though 75% of Indians and 66% of Americans do not have a college degree, let alone a prestigious degree, many opportunities are not open for people who are not from prestigious institutes. However, this is changing, and this is changing for good. And the longer you stay in the workforce, the longer you have to fix any short term disadvantages that you will face because you don't have credentials. The key word here is short term. Actually, any disadvantage that you face is largely short term and goes away the longer you are in the career, in your career. And luckily, careers are getting longer, and you need to be playing the long game with your career. So, what was a 35-year duration career many years ago, where you worked from 25 to 55 and then you retired, has changed completely. Today, careers are much longer. They are 70% longer. People are now working when they are 20, and they do not get to stop working until they are much, much older. People are living longer. So you have a lot more time to earn. And you have to play the long game. And that means thinking beyond the salary that you make when you're 20, because salaries keep going up as you get older. And they normally peak when you're 50 years of age if you are in a job. Most salaried employees have seen a peak in their income when they are 50 years old, and then the income starts to decline. And it declines quite steadily until it flattens, and then it declines steadily as you approach 80. And while this data is publicly available data for the US workforce, it is very similar to what you see if you're working in India. And the key question you have to ask yourself is, credentials are just a sign of capabilities, right? It is what recruiters and HR managers are looking for, because they are looking for a shortcut way, or a shortcut or a fast evaluation of a resume that reaches their inbox. So they are looking at you, and they are looking at which school you went to ascertain how good you might be. But because you are in such an open, connected economy now, and thanks to the internet, there are many ways to signal your capabilities. And the only way to signal your capabilities is no longer a degree from a prestigious college. While it helps to have a degree from a prestigious college, it is not the only way to signal competence to a recruiter or to a hiring manager. So there are 4 key how-tos that I want to share in this episode. How do you get a good job out of college? How to crack interviews with large companies? How do you get into companies that only hire from prestigious colleges? And how do you find mentors to build a network that will get you a good job and keep you in the long game? which means giving yourself time to build a career that you are proud of. So, getting a good job out of college, if we just talk about that issue, first of all, you have to define good. Many people believe a good job is this fictitious 1.5 crore offer from a US company, right? That maybe one person from an IIT gets, and that in purchasing power parity is not a lot of money, especially when it's based out of the Bay Area and it is taxed at a high rate and there are high costs of living. So forget about that. Define good for yourself. I think early on in your career, good should be defined as a job that allows you to discover your strengths, a job that allows you to try different things so that you can figure out what you're really good at. And to understand what is good, you have to talk to your seniors, people who have been in the workforce for a year or two, to understand how they feel about the work that they are doing. Are they proud of the work they're doing? Are they happy doing the work that they're doing? Or are they just happy to be making money? Do they see a path forward for themselves in the job that they have? Or are they just a cog in a wheel, a replaceable member of the workforce? And the more open and honest conversations you can have with your seniors, the more your eyes will open and the more you will understand what would actually be a good job. So talk to people in large companies, talk to people in small companies. I think you might find that people in smaller companies are doing harder things and doing many more things than people in large companies. And that's largely because small companies cannot afford specialists at every level. So they need generalists to play the roles that they cannot hire for. And that allows you, as a new employee or a young employee or somebody who's just starting out in your career, to play different roles and discover what roles you really enjoy. Another way to get a good job out of college is to stay in college a little bit longer, which means to go for a master's degree from a prestigious institute. It gets significantly easier to get a master's degree from an IIT or an IIM or a master's from a different an international college, for example, than to get a bachelor's degree from the same college. So perhaps you can do that. And the other way to do it is to keep building on the value that you can provide to the company. So doing more projects, working for more people, working for free, working for a little bit of money so that you can show more projects on your portfolio. Get listed on Upwork.com, get listed on Truelancer, get listed on so many different websites where people are looking for programmers to solve simple problems. Go do that work and build a portfolio for yourself. So the next how to is, how do you crack interviews with large companies? I think this is really simple. One of it is, sorry, I shouldn't say that it's very simple. It's not that simple. However, there are many approaches you can take that increase your chances of success with interviews in large companies. One is to speak with people working at that company and try to understand what kind of skills they hire for, what kind of questions do they ask. A lot of this information is available on the internet. You can probably find the most asked interview questions by Amazon, by Google, by Adobe, by all these companies that are hiring in India that you might be aspiring to work for. You can also start working on your analytical skills because many companies still require an analytical test, which I hate, but many companies do. And whether you make it through the interview or not, it's kind of like preparing for CAT. And if you are preparing for the common entrance exam for IIMs, then all that effort that you put into building your analytical capabilities will pay off anyway. So it's good to do that, irrespective of whether you crack the interview or not. And then you can also use companies like eLitmus that prepare you for these job interviews. They give you hard things to do. They make you perform tasks that you may have to perform in a large company, and that sets you up for success. I know many people who've made it to Adobe because they went to eLitmus, or they used other preparatory courses that allowed them to crack the interview and build skills more importantly. The third how to is how do you get into companies that only hire from IITs? I think you have to wait. That's the honest answer. Many companies are not going to hire you fresh out of college if you're not from a prestigious institute, and that's okay. I think it's something that's just how it is right now. So what you might want to do is use the time to build the skills, to work on the projects and build a portfolio either on Upwork or Freelancer, Truelancer.com, or any of these other sites, so that you can show to recruiters and hiring managers the things that you can do and how you went about doing them, and build the hard skills needed to crack some of these interviews. And I can also guarantee you that large companies are going to look for soft skills. So if you can communicate without ambiguity, if you can communicate clearly, if you can articulate what you're thinking and explain that to the person across the table, that's a skill that large companies will value. And some small companies and startups that are in the early phase will also value. So keep preparing for hard and soft skills. Keep building on hard and soft skills so that you are a more obvious hire when you are sitting in front of a hiring panel, whether virtually or in person in a few years. And finally, you have to build a network. And building a network is largely done by helping other people. It is not done by asking for help from others. It is done by helping others. And there are many great books that I can link to in the show notes or in the description of this video that can help you find out why helping others is the way to build a network. And last thing, reach out over LinkedIn. I know all your college recruiters or your seniors are telling you to do that. It is such an open world right now that you can write to me, you can write to many people who might be able to help you land the next opportunity for your career. Don't overthink it, and meet people. Meet them with a view to helping them, not with a view to get help from them for yourself. And you'll see that you will be able to build a network much, much faster. So what are the 5 things you can do? So at the end of this episode, and at the end of every episode, I'd love to leave you with things to do. So review your career plan from episode 2. I hope you worked on that. If not, go watch episode 2 and write down your career plan, review it, change it if you need to. You should also watch The Tyranny of Merit by Michael Sandel. It's a great video that talks about how merit and meritocracy is a problem in the world. And finally, speak with 5 seniors, understand what has worked for them so that you can try and follow similar tactics, because they have similar context to yours than anybody else. Your college seniors are working in the same context as you are, or very similar context as you are. So you want to make sure that you learn from their mistakes and capitalize on tactics that have worked for them. Ask for advice from 3 individuals who are working in your dream companies today. And don't ask them for how can I get in now. Ask them, in about 2 years, if I wanted to work for Microsoft, if I wanted to work for Amazon, or if I wanted to work for Facebook, what are the skills do you think I should be building today? And use that to guide your career plan. Use that to guide the skills that you're going to learn so that you are able to be a more relevant candidate for these companies in the future. And finally, you can stay in college longer. You can pursue a master's degree. I did that and it worked wonders for me. It is a great way to get a prestigious degree without all the pain that you have to go through in India to get a bachelor's degree from a prestigious institute. So think about that. And with that, I'll end this episode. If you like it, share with others. Thanks. Bye.